Well, we are back after that amazing race in D2. Congratulations to Michael Olavia for putting on a great show there. Sabre Cook and Matt Jaskell as well. What a great run for those three drivers up front. Fun to watch. As we have one more race to cap off today's action in this eKan live broadcast brought to you by KartingCoach.com. Paul Bonilla, yesterday's winner here in the Cambrian Go-Kart-sponsored Rotax Masters category, on the pole alongside Joey McGuire. John Crow and Scott Falcone will be on row 2. Ken Maxfield and Jim Carey, row 3. Kurt Fisher and John Breidinger, row 4. Ed Quinn and Chad Wallace, row 5. David Pregandi and Terry Cook on row number 6. Perry Needham, James Weaver, row 7. Chris Patterson and Michael Middleton on row number 8. Drivers underway. Green flag flies. And they are working their way out of turn number 1. Bonilla with a great start. He goes to the lead, but he could have a challenge here pretty quickly. John Crow right there in the second spot. Maxfield into third. McGuire fourth. Falcone now in the fifth spot. Scott Falcone to fifth. 25 lapper to cap off this weekend's action. First time down the back straightaway, Bonilla looking to complete a dominant weekend here. Bonilla and Crow trying to stretch out to score the victory here. Falcone able to find a way by Maxfield in turn 4, so Falcone goes now to 4th spot. Remember, Falcone had to come from deep in the field in that pre-main to work his way back up into the 4th position, drops back in position at the start, but is now back to 4th and looking to try to work his way forward. Bonilla, Crow, McGuire, Falcone, and Maxfield now your top 5. Everyone setting their fast lap, of course, here on lap number 2. Tires just starting to come up to temp. Falcone 2 seconds behind Bonilla and 0.2 of a second slower as well. Crow, though, crawling up right onto the rear bumper of Bonilla. They'll try to make it a 2-driver battle here. McGuire's got Falcone trying to work down on him. Maxfield 5th. Kurt Fisher into 6th spot. Ed Quinn having his best run of the weekend thus far, up into 7th. David Pregande runs in 8th, started 11th. John Breidinger 9th, and Perry Needham now into the 10th spot. .52.5s for your leaders. As they're starting to stretch away a bit there, they got a 1/10 of a second advantage from McGuire and Falcone, 52.6s. .6 seconds the advantage now. Bonilla over McGuire for that 3rd spot. He and Crow out to a pretty good little advantage. Crow, though, trying to hang with them. Already he's dropped about 0.3 of a second back. It just looks like Bonilla's got things well in hand here this weekend. This guy has won a ton of races. Looking to get off to a big start. Remember, the champion of the Challenge in Americas in this Masters Max category will win a ticket to the Rotax Grand Finals in 2015 in the DD2 Masters category. So Bonilla very focused on trying to win that ticket. John Crow stepping it up a little. Goes about a tenth quicker than Bonilla. So Crow trying to close up on him. John Crow has been part of Team USA at the Grand Finals before, but Paul Bonilla has never made the trip, never been part of the national team. And he's off to a good start with a pretty dominant day yesterday, winning the pre-final and the final. Qualified on pole, won the pre-final. And a main event victory here would give him a nice little advantage heading to Phoenix. Crow trying to keep him honest, keep him close. McGuire's been able to put some gap between himself and Falcone as well. Once again, Crow just a little bit quicker. 0.455 between first and second. Crow and McGuire identical laps of 52.412. Falcone about a half second off. 3 seconds behind the leader and a second and a half behind McGuire now. But again, long race still to go. 19 laps still remain. It'll be 18 to go this time by. Here's your top 10. Bonilla by 4/10 over Crow. McGuire by himself in third. Falcone again alone in the fourth spot. Maxfield runs fifth. Kurt Fisher sixth. David Pregandi in seventh. John Breidinger eighth. Perry Needham in ninth. And Chad Wallace in 10th. We've had some great racing here today, even in a couple of categories that may have had some dominance yesterday. It's been a lot closer here today as everybody's kind of stepping up their game for day number 2 here in Tucson. Look at John Crow closing up on Bonilla as well. That gap definitely shrinking down to 0.2 of a second. Here comes Crow. Right on the rear bumper of Bonilla as he was 0.2 quicker last time by. Well, I think we're finding out which drivers are going to challenge for the championship, at least coming out of Tucson. Bonilla and Crow looking to have solid point-scoring weekends. McGuire, that disappointing DQ yesterday, still running third. Falcone fourth. Maxfield on the podium yesterday, now running fifth, so he's still in the hunt. Let's see if Bonilla steps it up, knowing the Crow's there, hearing the motor behind him. 52.5 last time by. 52.4 this time by. Crow falls back to a 52.7. Falcone turns his fast lap, 52.541. See if that car's starting to come in for him. Bonilla's car now starting to get into its window. Lap 10, 15 to go, a 52.397. Very close to the fast lap of the race as well. 52.336 for Crow. Both McGuire and Falcone laying down 52.4s. But Falcone closing back up about 0.2 of a second onto McGuire. He's only back by 0.6 right now. So I don't think Falcone's quite done with a shot at maybe a podium. Looks like we're in for a good little fight between Crow and Bonilla. Great fight as well for 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. Kurt Fisher, Perry Needham, Chris Patterson, and John Breidinger in it. Breidinger actually trying to close up. It's really a three-driver battle between Fisher, Needham, and Patterson. They're coming down the back straightaway, separated by maybe 0.3 of a second. Here goes Patterson, looking to the inside now on Needham. Not quite enough. Falcone's been able to close up on McGuire. That'll be the fight for the third position, the final step on the podium. Falcone just turned his fast lap of the race, 52.465, to again close to within less than a half a second. And that half a second actually looks to be about maybe 2 lengths, maybe 3 lengths coming out of 9. Just at the halfway point now. Another fast lap for Falcone, getting down into the order of having the fast lap of the race. Closed up another 1/10 of a second. They're trying to find a way by Joey McGuire, the driver out of Wenatchee, Washington. McGuire on the Burrell, number 606. Running third, Falcone fourth, Maxfield fifth. David Pregande all alone in that 6th spot, but Perry Needham starting to close up. Pregande at 53.7, Needham at 53.3. He's only back by 1.4 seconds, so Pregande, although alone on the racetrack, needs to get up on the wheel. Fisher 8th, Patterson 9th, Breidinger in the 10th spot. 11th is Chad Wallace. 12th, James Weaver. 13th, Jim Carey. 14th, Terry Cook. Michael Middleton did not start, and Ed Quinn out on lap number 4 while running 7th. So 14 drivers remain on track. Bonilla doing what he can to keep Crow at bay. John Crow in the 631 continues to try to put the pressure on him. 3 or 4 cart lengths behind. Perry Needham starting to close up on David Pregande as well. That's the battle for, I believe, the 6th position. Pregande in the Arrow, Needham on the CRG. So we could have potential battles for the lead, the potential battle for third, the final position on the podium. John Crow trying to reel in your leader, Paul Bonilla. And Scott Falcone doing what he can to chase down Joey McGuire. Nine laps to go. Both Bonilla and Crow running 52.4s. Crow last time quicker by 0.04 of a second. 0.342 now the gap between first and second. Falcone a little quicker than McGuire, but again, that's a half a second. Oh, yeah, Crow starting to close. It's just a couple of lengths right now between Bonilla and Crow. Crow close. Ooh, he has a look. He had a look going into 4. Falcone just cannot get close enough to McGuire. Maxfield by himself in 5th. We've been talking about the battle between, not so much the battle, but at least Perry Needham doing what he can to reel in Pergande. It's getting closer, maybe 5 or 6 lengths right now. Chris Patterson there as well. In fact, Patterson just turned his fast lap, as did John Breidinger. 52.6 for Patterson, 53 flat for Breidinger. Again, John Crow right there. Still about 7 laps to go. Bonilla able to stretch his gap now to about 4.5 tenths. Crow gets a pretty good run out of 1. I think he's pretty solid through 1. They're pretty evenly matched through 2. Crow closing right back up here in 4. Falcone did not cut any of the gap to McGuire. So Joey McGuire having a good run here now in 3rd. Falcone 4th. Perry Needham's been able to get by David Pergande. That's for 6th position. Pergande back to 7th. And he's going to watch out right now for Chris Patterson. He's coming too. Pergande slowing down quite a bit here, down to a 53.9. That's not going to be good. Everyone else behind him dialing it up. Luckily for Pergande, we are down to 5 laps remaining, 5 to go. Crow closing right up. Are we going to get a battle for the lead, or is Crow just doing everything he can to hold this close to Bonilla? A win here would be huge for Crow to minimize the advantage that Bonilla will have. Obviously, Crow on the pole yesterday, but Bonilla winning the pre-final and final. The qualified pole won the pre-final today, so for Crow to win this one, that would obviously bring him much closer to being ready to challenge in Phoenix. Four laps to go. Crow still within just a couple of lengths. Really the only battle on the racetrack now. Bonilla, Crow, McGuire, Falcone, and Maxfield, your top 5. Needham and Pergande, 6th and 7th, but Patterson's coming in 8th. John Breidinger, 9th. Kurt Fisher, 10th. Chad Wallace in 11th. Jim Carey in 12th. James Weaver in 13th. And Terry Cook, the final driver on the racetrack, in 14th spot. Bonilla trying to turn things up here. 0.4 of a second the lead. 3 to go, and it's now almost 5 tenths. Good run here for Pregande. He stepped things up quite a bit, able to go about a half a second quicker to try to keep Chris Patterson at bay. Pregande trying to bring home that 7th place finish in the 6:08, the Arrow. Patterson trying to close up on him. Patterson in the number 692. Bonilla slowly stretching away from Crow over the final laps. 2 to go this time by. 2 laps remaining for Bonilla. Crow quicker by about a 10th last time by. He's back to within 2 or 3 lengths. Crow up on the wheel for the last couple of laps here. Two lengths as they come through turn number 4. You got to pull out all the stops now. Bonilla really good coming out of 4. Gets a lot of forward bite in that car. He's able to work his way through the S's comfortably. White flag will fly this time by. As Bonilla looking for a perfect day. He is really good from 4 all the way over to 11. He again has about 6 lengths coming down in the back straightaway. Crow trying to throw everything at him right now. Look at Crow. But Bonilla's been so good. Crow better from 11 over to 4. But again, as I said, Bonilla so good coming out of 4. Crow closing back up. Gets a pretty solid run. No, a little bit trouble coming through 2 and 3. That's going to take away any chance to get through there. Bonilla with a wider exit out of 4. Crow closing down into maybe 3 or 4 lengths. Checkered flag going to fly this time by. Final lap of the opening round of the Challenge of the Americas. Bonilla down the back straightaway. Crow doesn't have anything for him. It will be a perfect day. Pole position, pre-final victory, and a main event win for Paul Bonilla. He's looking good going to Phoenix. And a shot at extending that lead and the potential of getting that grand finals ticket to be part of Team USA. Bonilla the win, Crow second, McGuire ends up third, Falcone fourth, Ken Maxfield in fifth, Perry Needham sixth, Pregande holds off Chris Patterson. Barely, as Breidinger's there as well. Pregande seventh, Patterson eighth, Breidinger ninth, and Chad Wallace rounding out the top 10. Paul Bonilla was chased for 25 laps by John Crow. Just not enough. Bonilla with the victory. The margin, a scant 0.4 of a second as Crow pushed hard over the last couple of laps. But again, Bonilla, Crow, and McGuire, your podium in Rotax Masters.